Hello, everybody, and welcome to, can you believe it, already episode 5 of the Indie Allies podcast. That's right, we've been doing this officially for more than a month. I am DarkslayerTV, or Brandon Winkler, and I am joined today with my lovely co-host, Hal. Can you believe it has been more than a month?
I cannot believe that. For some reason, I thought it was like episode 3 or 4 for some reason. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Already 5.
Yep, we had our pilot episode, and then we've had 4 guests now, so we are on episode 5. And today, we're joined with a very, very special guest, Harley Huke. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me, my friends. Hello, hello. I don't know if I call myself very special in some
I,
ways.
I mean, listen, if you can Google your name and it shows up, for me, that's very special because not many people can do that.
I am the only one in the world, so it didn't take much.
Oh my goodness. But speaking of how you ended up like in a position where you could Google your name and it actually pop up,
Oh, yeah.
your specialty is marketing research.
Yes, market research. Specialty, yes, I suppose.
Um, which, out of curiosity, I know we haven't like actually dove into any sections yet, but how would you describe market research? How would you describe exactly what it is you do?
Basically, how I would describe it from a very dumb person perspective, I would say it's basically doing literal like quantitative and qualitative research to figure out any or all aspects of whatever you're trying to create. So it could be anything like in-game specific, anything from the UI to the story to the art style to the entire concept as a whole, to the controls. What other things are things that we've tested?
So
So like just so many things.
you're taking essentially complex topics that have almost no immediate way of measuring them and turning them into things that can be measured so you can actually work with metrics.
Yeah, so it's done through a combination of survey data, play testing, like people will come in and play the game, and then they'll take surveys depending on the project, depending on the research objectives, and they will talk about it, and then all of that is the quantitative data. Right, quant, yes, quant. And then after that, there'll be a focus group, and that's where we get the qualitative data from. And then there's also long-ended, like for open ends. That's the word, not long ends. Open ends people will write, and that is also quantitative or yeah, qualitative. I always get them mixed up. I'm gonna be really honest.
Quantitative and qualitative.
Yeah, quant and
Interesting.
qual.
Okay.
Um, so quant is like statistics, and qual is just people's thoughts, and then analyzing them across the board, and then getting findings from it.
All right. Well, we're going to have a lot of fun questions going into this podcast because something that indie developers desperately need more help on is the marketing side. There's a lot of things you can look up, and they all give you the same advice. And I'll go on a longer spiel about this later, but a lot of us end up at the same dead ends of being like, well, I've gotten the advice, but I can't do anything with the advice. Um, However, we will go ahead and we'll start with our first segment, which is, of course, the catch up, the thing where we talk about what we did for the week. Hal, I usually start with you. Would you like me to start this week?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. This week, as I mentioned last week, I started developing a retro first person shooter, and I'm making significant progress. I wanted to try to hit alpha by the end of the week, but I didn't know if that was a fair goal to myself because I didn't know what problems were going to arise and the things I still had left to do. Um, so I just said, you know what, we'll do a sprint. We'll see how far we go. I'll tell you already, I've already tripped. I am not sprinting anymore, but it's for good reason. While I did get some stuff done, I guess I should finish that up real quick. I made some collectibles in order to pick up or make the collectibles look good. I gave them animation and I gave them particle effects. Now, I had never really done much with particle effects, so going into it, I was a little nervous, a little scared. But then I realized it's mostly just an image that's moving around and or appearing and disappearing rapidly. And that's mostly what particles are. Don't get me wrong, the people that know what they're doing can probably do significantly more than that. But for what I needed, that's basically all it was. And I made some neat little pickups that I shared in the Discord. I don't know if you
Yeah, they
saw
looked
those or
really
not.
good. I saw them and I like them.
Yeah.
I think my only comment on them was I think it would look cool if you could add like a little bit of a glow or like a little bit of a light or something. Even like a
y-
pulsing light would look kind of cool.
yeah. I was thinking I don't want to do it on the particles, and that's only because retro shooters, there's almost like a unspoken rule that like a retro shooter needs to run at like 120 frames a second. Like if you're not running like 1,000 frames in a retro shooter, people kind of are like, dude, I kind of wish this was performing better. I might add a point light to the pickup, but I probably won't add any to the particles since they move around, and I'm sure,
Yeah.
that's just gonna
No,
add a
that's what
bunch
I
of.
meant. Just add like make the radius very very tiny so it's just that one area and then like turn off the shadows so yeah, you probably wouldn't have any performance drawdown with that.
Yeah, I probably will. I probably just because the way I was thinking about it is just making the static mesh that's floating, just make it not cast shadows, and then put the
Mhm.
point light in the center as a child, so that way it bounces up and down with the actual helmet. Excuse me. Um, but no, I tripped. So I was doing the alpha sprint, and I was very excited. But then I had a big trip, and that is because, and this is where I'm going to go on my first marketing rant. And this has nothing to do with anyone that works as in like the marketing like industry or whatever you want to call it. This is just coming from someone that's trying to enter it purely from a developer standpoint that's never had formal teaching or anything. I think the number one thing that drives me nuts with marketing is you hear the same like two or three things. Know your audience, find where they're at on the internet, and then post stuff. That's what you hear, okay? So I was like, that means nothing to me. Like I could tell you that making a retro shooter, right? I could sit here and I can tell you, I know it's going to be a couple things. It's going to be mostly probably upper 20s to lower 50s men that like shooters that are doing it kind of for the nostalgia and they've already established they like the genre. I mean, I'm not saying there can't be outside that, but that's like the chunk of the audience. Um but then I go to Chat GPT and I look up all this other research and it's like, great, you know your audience. Good job. And then I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, all right, what do I do with this information? And I went to Chat GPT and I said, look, I don't know if I'm dumb or maybe I am bringing up a valid point that this is just ridiculously hard to understand, but I don't understand because this is the same info I always get and I'm not sure what to do with it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you just need to find out where they are and then advertise to them. And I'm like, this is a circle that I always go through with marketing where it's like, just find your people and let them know. And it's like, okay. So I said, you know what? I'm going to tackle this like it's a game development problem because, in a way, it is. It is technically a game development problem. And I said, I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to tackle this like I'm learning something difficult for game dev. Okay? So I found a series of 10-hour videos. I'm on the first one that teaches marketing. Okay? And what I'm going to do, which, by the way, this is why I tripped. This is why this is why the sprint stopped. Is I'm going to go over just some brief notes that I've gotten so far because I'll be honest, these videos have been fantastic. Um, some of it I feel like is a little basic, but I'm somebody that will. How do I put it? I'll preface it. I usually see a lot of people whenever something on YouTube or something is going over the basics, they want to skip past that part. It's like, oh, I already know that. And then they get. I'm somebody that I don't care if I've done it 3 billion times. I want to know the basics because I could be forgetting like 5% of the basics, and that's a problem. Like, there should always be a solid foundation. But anyway, did you know there are. Well, actually, you know what? I want to do this in a fun way. Harley, did you know there were 7 styles of digital marketing? Or is that number correct? Or would you know?
No clue.
No clue. Okay.
Because we just
Okay.
do the research, not the actual marketing of it, because that's like its own beast.
Ah, got it. And I did want to clarify for the listeners as well. I think I did earlier, but I'm going to clarify again. Marketing research, not necessarily marketing.
Yeah.
So we might even have questions today that are marketing related that you might even be like, dude, I don't have a clue. So that is what it is. But to quickly go through them, I'm not going to like sit here and give you the definition for each one. But you've got the search engine optimization. I feel like we've all heard that. It's like, oh yeah, search engine optimization. Just get to the top of Google. It's easy. Just fucking optimize your stuff. Then you've got the search engine monetization. Search engine. Oh, it's the M. Search engine marketing. That's what it is. I learned when you Google something. Did you know? You know how like the first few are usually ads, and then it actually gets to the search results. I learned that how that works is every company has the ability to bid on words, and the highest bidders are put at the top of the Google search whenever someone uses those words. And then when people click on those, they get charged. So Google is saying, your bid is like, I'm just going to use a random value, $4.99. Every time someone clicks this link, I'm going to charge you $4.99. And that's how the search engine monetization works. So I thought that was, or marketing works. And I thought that was really cool. Which, by the way, I'm just going to rant for a while whenever I'm going through this. If you guys want to speak up, either interrupt me or I'm keeping an eye on the cameras too. You can just be like, hey, hold on, and I will shut up. We have email marketing. We all know what that is. And I found out email marketing, at least from my understanding so far, because I'm very much a novice, is really ineffective, but you should do it anyway, and everyone does it because it's free. Like, that's the only reason people spam you constantly is because it's free. So effective or not, it doesn't matter. You've got the affiliate marketing. This is whenever you reach out to others. Like, you know, for example, a lot of us see Twitch streamers or YouTubers that take these monetization deals. That's affiliate marketing. And then the last three are basically all the same. There are three categories, but to me, they're the same. Social media marketing, content marketing, mobile marketing. They are separated, but you can see why, to me, they're very, very, very similar. The only difference being, of course, mobile marketing. They made a big deal out of SMS, but I got to be honest with you. If a company messaged me over my phone through SMS, I'd probably block them immediately. So I don't know that that's a good way to do it. But yeah, those are the 7 styles of digital marketing.
A good thing to look up as well, like just for research purposes, is the marketing funnel. Have you ever looked at that?
No, what's the marketing funnel?
Google it real fast. It's like I'm looking at the picture of it. So it's the funnel of like the principle of marketing, and it's got different levels. And like, you know how you'll see the same ad on Facebook 10 times and then you'll click it? So that's the first phase, which is awareness and like brand awareness. And that's like, it's the different I think it's like the stages of how people will interact with your content, essentially. So it goes from attract, which is awareness, informed consideration, conversion, and loyalty. So that's like attracting, informing, converting, and engaging. So that's kind of an interesting thing to look into about how people will see your content and the stages in which will actually trigger them to interact with it. And I learned that from music. That was something I learned doing all music marketing and stuff like that.
Interesting. You know what's crazy? That's the same exact model almost as this video said. It was the customer life cycle. It's
referring the same thing in different ways.
Yeah. The customer life cycle, which I took, and I have 2 full pages. We're not going through all of them, don't worry. I just want to kind of raise awareness about what I learned. The customer life cycle though is actually a very good list of 4 protocols that you can do, which make the whole idea of marketing so much easier. You've got stage 1, which is the awareness stage, which if we look at the marketing funnel, it's called the awareness. It just says awareness. It's part of the funnel. And, you know, it even gave me a priority list of how you market specifically for each stage. So like when you're raising awareness about your product, content, search engine optimization, if you can afford it, the search engine marketing, and affiliate. It's like those are the things. Like if you're really trying to get awareness, you want to focus on those areas. And then you've got the consideration stage, which again, the marketing funnel, consideration. Um, I also kind of, for my own benefit, I put a little dash and I said this is also, I call it the encourage stage because it might be the consideration stage, but you're also really, really, really incentivized to encourage during this moment. So you could do things like point out why you're different, point out the problems you're solving, point out the deal that's happening and ending tomorrow. This is like we're encouraging you to go through with the actual process of it.
For yourself to do as well when you're thinking of how to like market yourself. Look at like different ads you've clicked on in your mind. Like think of like an ad you saw a bunch of and then you bought something from or whatever the situation is, and think about how you went through the cycle and what made you want to click it. That's a good way to kind of take a step back and strategize. I think like how did you yourself become one of their customers or for whatever it is. Like I know for me, I've seen ads millions and millions of times and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll click it. And then I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is cool, and then I don't do anything, and then it's like seeing the same ad 4 or 5 more times at the same clothing store or whatever it is, and then eventually I end up buying something. So it's kind of you're going through that same phase of the, as you said, the customer life cycle.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that actually as a exercise really quick, because immediately when you said name a time you've done that, it took a second because a lot of times whenever you're talking marketing, a lot of people will think, oh, products. And whenever you think products, you typically think of like a grocery store or something similar. Whereas in my case, I feel like it's technically still a product and everything, but it's not as conventional. For me, it's actually, like you said, it's the longevity. It's seeing it repeatedly because at the time I had already filled my quote unquote mobile game time with stuff that I was enjoying. But because it stuck around, I was like, oh, I'm getting bored. I need to move on to something else. And then I hit it and I was like, okay, now I got this. So it's very interesting because for both of us, at least, and I don't know if Hal has an example of this or not, but for both of us, at the very least, it was the longevity of it. It was the repeatedness of it. It was the you keep showing me this aspect. Do you have any examples of this, Hal?
Um, I feel like I'm a weirdo. I never click on ads. Like I am always cognizant. Like even when I search for Google stuff, I never click on the first things that I know are ads, unless it's a company that I really hate, and then I click on it just so they get charged for that.
That strategy. I'm gonna start doing that. That's awesome. Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think everyone is affected by ads. Like there's a lot of not subjective. What's the word for it? A subliminal stuff going on.
Mhm.
And so like I know I am affected by stuff. Probably food type stuff. I will definitely see like, and it's not even like a specific brand. It's just like I will see somebody eating a pizza and be like, I want pizza now. Um, but yeah, I do feel like I am kind of weird on that. That I I don't want to say like I'm completely resistant to ads, but I do always make an effort not to like not to let them affect me, even though I know they do affect me to a certain
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah,
And I
so
don't even know why I do that. Really, it's like I, I really don't know why I do that. I just, for whatever reason, for some, at some point in my life, I was like, I don't like ads, and I'm not going to give in to them.
yeah, to relate back though, I actually agree with you wholeheartedly, which is why in my example, I had to think outside the box and I was like, oh, I guess I have hit like a mobile game ad. Um,
Also
but
look at
what's
it.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, sorry. No, you got this.
Look at it from like a different perspective, which this I was just thinking about this, which is kind of interesting. Like disregarding the marketing side of it, think of like how like the modern world operates when it comes to new products and stores. Like I'll give a makeup example, but all the girlies out there, you might get this one. But like for example, Morphe, which is a makeup company, they basically built their entire brand simply from A being very cheap, B being very good, and being in all of the YouTubers like stash. It wasn't ever like an ad. They had a lot of affiliates later on, but the way they got so big is because they built their brand awareness through makeup tutorials. So many people liked them because they would use their product, and it was just that simple. And this is true to like a lot of different things. You could say the same to streamers, people who like a game. You're building that brand awareness, which is then informing people of it. And the more that people are doing that, and the higher the frequency that that's happening, the more likely you are to get conversions. It's kind of like also in retail. When you have somebody coming into a store, they already have brand awareness, or even they're walking around the mall for a bunch of times, and they've seen the store 5 times walking around, like, okay, I'll go in. And then it's the customer service people's job to convert. Like, that's a thing in like a lot of like mall stores where they have like a counter, and they'll break down and create a percentage of conversion per day per sale. So how many people walked in versus how many sales were made. There's so many different areas that this could actually apply to, which also could then make strategizing your marketing a bit easier because you're giving it more of a real world example. How can I get this to people? How can I tell them what I'm thinking? How can I then make them want to buy what I've created or what I'm doing? And how do I keep them engaged? Like, those are good questions to ask yourself when it comes to like actually thinking about like, how is this going to work? How am I going to do this? But because I think on the onset, like, the whole concept of marketing is just really scary, but there's so many things in your life that you're already interacting with that are similar types of things. And it's like, how can you do that for what you're doing? Keep burping.
No, you're good. No, I mean, you're the expert. I'm just going by what I've heard, and yeah, from what I've heard, you're spot on.
I'm just saying, from like taking out like this big scary marketing bear of it, and just think like, how can you for yourself ask yourself those questions for what you're creating, and how does it work? Like, me saying this, I feel like I'm giving myself advice because now I'm like, for my music marketing, I've got some ideas.
Right.
So it's like, I think taking it and looking at it from a different perspective as well, less so the actual marketing application of it, because there's so many different, especially with games. I think it's such a unique field because there's so many different ways of discovery, so many different ways to build that brand awareness. Apart from like making a clothing store, there's really only a few different ways you can make that in people's faces and like, hey, look at this, it's really cool. Want it? Want it? Come buy it.
Yeah.
So I think that's also an interesting like side to look at as well, just in a like make it a little more less scary.
Yeah, no, to look at it from like a scientific side as well is oh goodness, I'm going to absolutely Paul Conti. I remember it, thank God. I was listening to the Human Lab podcast, and he had Dr. Paul Conti on there, and I don't know his official title, but I know he is a very, very well known psychiatrist, leading in his field when it comes to research and everything. And Dr. Paul Conti was talking about, essentially, everyone likes to think the conscious mind is the thing that's driving decision and driving all, us as people. It's the powerhouse of the brain. It's not. It is very, very much not. It is all subconscious. Every little bit is subconscious. Obviously, there are some influences the conscious brain can bring to the table, but ultimately, a lot of your decisions are pre-decided by your subconscious, without getting too much into the science of all this. So even if, you've never clicked an ad, purely the phase 1 of the customer life cycle, the awareness stage, is already building inside on your subconscious.
Seeds are there. The tree is growing.
Exactly.
And that's the thing too, is like when you're a kid, think of like commercials. Like, how many times did you see a commercial and then you never I was thinking about this the other day, and I want to make a TikTok. Did anyone actually ever own the clapper? Do you remember? Clap on. Clap. Like,
I've seen
I don't
one.
know why that came into my mind the other day, and I was like, did anyone actually own that product? And I want to know, like, did it work? Like, I have so many, but like the continuing, like, and when I was a kid, I was like, I want to have a light that I can clap at. Like, that's so cool. Is that
Right.
completely impractical? Absolutely. But it's just that like constant, and their song. That's jingles. Jingles. There's actually like some musical manipulation that happens with its jingles.
Yeah.
There's this thing called the pop run. Google it. It's really interesting. I think that's what it's called. The pop run. But you'll notice, I don't know, it's not what it's called. What's it called? It's gonna drive me crazy. But there's this one little run, like in music, and it's a slight little note progression. I don't know, chord progression. It's not a, you know what I mean? It's like it is in the background of like every song that exists. That is a really, like, so many songs. It's in the background of so many jingles because it tricks your brain into thinking you know the song. Therefore, you already think you like the song. Therefore, you're going to keep listening to the song. They do it in jingles. They do it in pop music. They do it in all kinds of music. And I remember noticing it one time because it was really obvious in a song, and I was like, It's in a lot of other, and then I don't remember what it's called. It does have a name. I thought it was called the Pop Run, but it's not. But
There
it's
is
a
a
whole.
song literally called Four Chords, and it's every single song that uses
Yeah.
the same four chords, and they just go through every single one of them, and they never leave the same four chords. And I think it's probably very related to what you're talking about.
It's well, this isn't chords though. This is like a melody, like a melody. It's like a
Oh.
little. It's like you know when you sing a note and it does like the little. I'm not gonna sing to you guys. I don't want to bore you. But like it's like the end of the note that has all the cool, like Christina Aguilera, runs galore. That's what it is, and but because it's just like a da-da-da-da of notes, it's
Mhm.
in a lot of other music. That's not I. It's the pop whoop.
Pop
This is gonna
whoop?
drive me crazy. Pop
It's the pop
whoop.
something.
The pop whoop. Millennial whoop found it. Yeah, it's called the Millennial Whoop apparently, but it's
Oh
in
wow.
so many songs, and it's like it tricks you, but it's also used in songs literally. But it's in California Girls Bad Romance, TikTok by Akesha, Use Somebody in the Shadows. Like it's in so many songs, and it comes from like an older song, and then there's a lot of other different little variants of it, but you'll find it in a lot of music. It's kind of the same thing. Like it applies well to that. Like you're aware of it, therefore it sinks into your subconscious and was like
Yeah.
you can't forget.
Not
It's
to
just there.
bounce
It's
like
immediately.
too
Sorry,
much of
that
like
was a
no,
really
you're
side
good.
ramble. Apologies.
No,
I'm
you're
good at
good.
that.
It's all good. It's all good. I think it's all great great conversation topics, things to know. Um I will say that it actually lines up pretty well because of and I'm not prepared. Normally I'm prepared when I say stuff, and when I'm not I like to very clearly state I'm not prepared to specifically teach this, but I know that another thing I've learned about the brain is its effects when it comes to music and stuff. And your brain, obviously, your neurons. There's not like a memory neuron. There's not an action neuron. It is nothing more than your brain setting a pattern, different patterns through your brain, and that pattern has ultimately ended up meaning something, and then your brain can there or your body then kind of responds to that stimuli, that activation sequence. And the reason I bring this up is because, as you're saying, whenever it comes to this the millennial loop.
The millennial whoop.
Oh, whoop.
Whoop.
Like whoop, there it is.
Yep.
Okay, the millennial whoop. That makes sense. It's actually why nostalgia feels so good. It's pretty much activating areas of your brain that either haven't been activated in a while, and or in a sequence that you haven't experienced in a while. Um, so yeah, this is all just a long-winded way of saying that yeah, phase one is so important. Whenever it comes the awareness stage, they've already got you. If you know they exist, they've already got you. Also, for those listening that can't see right now, we did lose Harley. She's on Wi-Fi, so we might lose her occasionally. But for now, while we wait for her to get back, I will go ahead and mention the last. Oh, and she's back. There she is. I will go ahead and mention the last two phases really quick, and then we can move on from my little marketing bender that I've been on. So we have obviously the awareness phase, the awareness phase, the consideration stage, and then you have the purchase phase. So the purchase phase is where you need to consider, where are my prices at compared to competitors, and why am I standing out? Which I feel like that's like the most boring stage. I feel like it's the most like where it makes the most sense. I feel like a lot of people understand that. But the last stage, and this is the stage I hadn't considered, the post-purchase stage, and this is actually huge. Because this is where you need to encourage feedback. This is where you need to look at what they're purchasing and say, do I have related things that would go with this? This is where you have to try to like improve the buying experience and stuff like that. And I mean, it might sound obvious whenever I've already said it's the post-purchase phase, but I hadn't even considered it a phase before it was shown to me. But
I think that would probably tie into like the last one, engage in loyalty, like keeping your
yes.
your audience or whatever it is loyal to you. You could also look at
Yes.
like you could also take it back as well and like reanalyze it as well from building a social media presence as well. Like looking at how you do all of those steps to gaining an actual loyal fan base or an actual loyal like whatever you call it
Yeah, yeah,
audience.
yeah. Yeah, like a following, an audience. Yeah, 100%. And they use that word a lot too, as loyal. And
Do you want them
I,
to buy more? You
I
can't just
think
buy
the
that one thing.
well, yeah. I think the reason that I hesitate to call it loyal, because you're not wrong. It's not incorrect, and clearly it's the term for a reason. I think my morale gets in the way of like I don't want someone to be loyal to my product. I want them to purchase it and then enjoy it. And if they purchase
A
it again
product.
because it's good, that's great.
Think of it
I
this way, like how many people are like loyal to game studios? Like they will just buy any game that just because they make it, because they love what they create. Because I think across most game studios, at least like AAA ones, like a lot of the games have like similar feels in similar ways
hmm
and have similar not that they all fit together as one necessarily, but like you there's a certain level of quality like with Rockstar games, a lot of them have a lot of the same qualities in each game individually. And people are loyal a lot of times I think when it comes to like games, probably less so. I mean also people are very loyal to games and their franchises. Me and my Civ obsession. But I think that also that could apply if you like less so your product and more so you as a developer than being loyal to what you're creating and your style and your approach to doing things, which I think is a better way of looking at it as well, because that's more important. Because if you make one game over here and one game way over here, you still want that. It would be nice if you had a loyal fan base that says, I like you, I want to try it out. You made a good game that I like, so I'll give this one a
right,
go.
right.
What
And you know,
are
I'm
what are your guys' studios that like you'll buy a game no matter what?
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest gamer.
so for me, and I hate to admit it nowadays, uh it's probably Blizzard. Lately, I will admit it's a lot easier for me to just be like, nah, because after everything that has come out, and frankly, my dissatisfaction with World of Warcraft, which is huge for me because I've been playing since 2006. So I've been playing a while. And the last time I checked, I had over 3 years play time across all my characters. Um,
Goodness, that's impressive.
Thank you. And my YouTube career started because of StarCraft 2. So for me to say nowadays, it's like, maybe not as much is not great, but yeah, it's still probably them. I would probably play anything just to try it.
Yeah, FromSoft was the first one that came to mind for me.
For me, it'd just be Civ. Like I would,
Yeah.
always.
And it's the same game over and over too. I'm
I,
the same way, by the way, but like I swear they put out Civ 6 and I was like, I have to buy it, even though it's going to be exactly the same as Civ 5. I have to buy it.
but yes, a disturbing amount of time in Civ 6. Thousands of hours to be specific. And I've only had the game since 2021, which is even more embarrassing. It's not a lot of time.
But you're over 1,000 hours.
Over two.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty hardcore.
it's a lot of time. So much time. My friends don't like playing against them because I just win and they get really mad at me. And I'm like, well, get better.
Dude, being really good at a game is actually so isolating because whenever I played StarCraft 2, like at a ridiculous level, like I will never be that good again because I just can't give it the time. Like it was so boring because all my friends it was actually worse than boring because my friends were interested in StarCraft and they enjoyed playing it, but it was worse than boring because they just wouldn't want to play with me, or if they did, it would have to be very specified modes where I couldn't beat up on them. And it's not that I wanted to beat up on them, it's just that's how much I cared about the game. So
Mhm.
like yeah, I totally get it. Whenever you're like invested and get good at something, it's isolating.
That's the only thing I'm good at, though. I'm gonna be really honest. I need to open up my. Oh, and Phasmophobia. I play that a criminal amount of time, and I'm
Yeah.
also very good at that. Love it. It's
I
so fun.
was. I was before all the updates, and it's not because the updates are
Oh,
bad, it's
the
because I haven't
updates are.
played.
Well, it makes the game so different. Like I'll be really honest.
Yeah.
I have a really crazy custom difficulty so that we get lots of points. because when we lost all of our equipment, I was so angry. Oh, I was so angry when I was at level 0. I was like, but I will say they did give you a cute little arm patch with your former level on it, and I think that's cute.
Yeah.
So now when all my friends play who have just like gotten the game, and I'm like, arm patch.
Wait, so do you? I haven't played this game in so long. Do you lose all your stuff at some
Yes,
point?
everything is gone now. So when you open the game up again,
Oh.
everything you had is gone.
It was
Because
in
in August, they did a huge update and then just wiped everything.
it was 1.0. That's why they released 1.0, and it was a massive
Oh wow!
overhaul.
I didn't even realize they released yet.
No,
Yeah.
the game looks so different as well. Like there was one time
Mhm.
I opened it up and I was like, because I was also on a new laptop, so I was like, is my laptop just really bad? But they completely overhauled the lighting, everything,
Mhm.
the textures. It looks like a brand new game. It looks so much more HD. It doesn't
Hmm.
look like the crappy little vibe it used to have. Although the equipment screen has gotten worse. If that was
I
possible.
agree, dude. The new store
No,
screen is awful.
it's so ugly and it doesn't make any. I mean, it's visual, which I like, but functionally, it's. I finally got the old one figured out.
Yeah.
The old one was terrible too. You
All
never
right,
knew what you were adding.
all right, we are
Sorry.
going to tangent hard because I will talk to you about this
Yeah.
all day. So
Same.
instead, we will move on to Hal. What have you been doing this week?
Yeah. It's actually really interesting that we've got Harley on and we're talking about marketing because I've been, well, I won't say I've been doing marketing, but I've been thinking a lot about marketing. Mainly because I haven't been doing marketing in quite a while. um, and I'm sitting there like looking at my Steam page. It hasn't been updated in like 5 months. I'm like, man, I really need to update this thing. But yeah, so I've actually been thinking a lot about this. So this is a good week to talk about all of this. And I've been personally just trying to come up with a marketing strategy that works for me. And for me, I just to give a quick background, if anybody doesn't know, I've been in the photography business for a very long time, like 13 plus years, owned my own business. So I've learned a lot about marketing um, in that specific field, which there I think there is a lot of carryover just in general. Um, but I have found marketing for photography is so much easier because you literally have just pictures to share. And with game development, the biggest hurdle that I run into is just not having things to share, like just not having content to share. And so that's what I've really been kind of struggling with and trying to figure out like a good strategy that I can, have a consistent flow of content. Because as you know, there's a lot of times where you just like sit and watch a tutorial all day and barely actually get anything done. And so it's kind of hard to share, your progress on that.
Yeah, I don't know if this will help, but I will say something I jotted down as a note because they specified obviously in order to market you have to start with content, which a lot of people they don't realize at surface level, and I mean it makes sense though. Like if you don't have content, you can't market. But they actually say text, literally text, if done well, can just be your content.
Yeah, and I am not good at that. Um, I absolutely hate like whenever I have even a photo, I hate trying to come up with a caption for it. I will spend way too long trying to come up with a caption, rewrite it like 20 times, and then still not be happy with it. So yeah, I would love to hear if you guys have any tips on that and what you guys do for that. And just general ideas for that.
Probably look at like, what's the website you can pay people to do things? Fiverr? Yes, Fiverr.
Yeah.
Get a copywriter. That's what they do. They write content. They write captions, content, all the tech stuff. That's like what they'll do is I don't know the exact all of the things with it. I don't fully understand it, but they take like all of the information you want to convey and they do it well. I know
Wow.
people who make a lot of money just doing copywriting. Not
I
like copywriting, like the
That's actually what I thought what you meant at first.
Right,
I'm
right.
like copyright. I'm like, yeah, I guess you would want to protect it, but no, what you're
No.
saying makes so. Yeah,
People who
I
like
never even thought
Writing
about
the
that.
copy, yeah.
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 That's
I never thought of that. That's a great idea. The other thing I was thinking was, you could do two forms of marketing. I feel like you could actually double dip. I feel like if you had two accounts, I guess you could do it on one, but I think it'd be safer with two. Um, is in a way market to other devs by just in a way kind of like this podcast sharing what's going on a little bit, and
Yeah.
then you double dip by going, by the way, here's where we're actually going to start posting about the actual real game. Now, obviously, I think we've talked about this before. The biggest problem indie game devs have is we always market to each other and we're not each other's market. Like, that's not really how it
Yeah.
works. But I still think it would be a good place to start whenever you're in that early phase where you can't show anything. I think half the stuff I post on our Discord, I was thinking about this earlier today. I could easily just stop posting it in our Discord or still post it there, and then also make an account and a website for my freaking game and just put it on there too, and just be like, look at this cool thing I made that's coming in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's definitely something great to do, I think. Or at least that is kind of a good solution to the content, getting the content. The other thing I really like doing, and you know this, is just like networking in general.
Hmm.
So, you know, I've been going around this idea, and we've talked about this before, of having like an indie game, an indie allies showcase. And so we get, you know, a group of developers, which we have now, and we get maybe 10 people that have a game that they want to show off. And so we create an event for that, kind of like a Nintendo Direct or a Sony State of Play or something like that. And just the power of getting 10 other developers involved in that, and then they can go and share on their social medias that we're doing this, and we can kind of cross promote this. I think that's a good solution to getting our stuff out there, that I want to look into.
Which, by the way, unless you already have like a skilled editor in mind, I think last time we talked about this, I mentioned this. I will still do it. Like, obviously, if someone specializes in being like, yeah, I make awesome presentations, yeah, let them have it. But otherwise, like, I still want to do it. Like, yeah, I think us having our own little presentation would be cool.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I really want to do that. I need to like kind of like write out a plan for that and just start getting things in motion. Um, One other thing that I was going to mention, that I have done in the past, and I feel like a lot of people do this, is just straight up like look at other successful brands, what they're doing, um, and you know, like look at other game developers that are, look at Harley and what she's
We
doing.
do.
um, and
Kind of.
yeah, just, you know, like look at what they're doing. I've literally looked at indie devs that are smaller in size but are, you know, successful, and I've just like looked at their Twitter and just like scrolled all the way to when they started, and like how did they start and what did they start doing, and what were the types of content that they were posting. And that, I don't think that always helps, because you know sometimes like they might be posting about something that was very relevant at the time that maybe doesn't work perfect in now, in today's world. But I think a lot of times you can just get some good ideas of just what they were doing, and you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned how you went about actually looking into how they're doing their marketing and stuff, because that's something that I kept coming across as well. Is like, it was like, just look at other brands, see what they're doing, and then I was like, okay, so I like looked at like other retro shooters, and I'm like, they're just like posting about their game, and like to an extent I get it, but like again, I don't know if it's me or if marketing is just ridiculously difficult, but I was like, this is not helping me. Like, I don't, it should be, but it's not. So, but no, I think, yeah, I think that's great. Look at where they started and how they got where they're at. But okay.
Yeah. I was just realizing like, oh yeah, I'm still talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I That's pretty much all I've done, to be honest. I haven't done much work on the game. I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, networking, talking to other people, and yeah, hopefully I want to get some actual work on the game done this coming week.
In my opinion, that is work on the game, though. What you're doing outside is
Yeah,
work on the game.
yeah, absolutely. It just sometimes doesn't feel like it, because you look at it and you're like, oh man, I haven't really touched this in 4 days.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, isn't it crazy how 4 days feels like 8 years in this industry?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But obviously, you're not specifically a game developer, Harley. But normally I ask my guest anyway. Like, what have you been doing this week? Anything cool or interesting that might be even related or maybe not related?
Played with Unreal Engine a little. That's about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Let's go from that angle. So you are brand new to the actual game development side. Um, and obviously we've had one lesson so far where I went through and I tried to get you some of the basics going with Blueprint. But you showed me your project whenever we were in that mentor call, and you have a lot of lovely landscapes and environments. And immediately I'm like, you need to talk to Hal, who is officially sitting right here. Yeah, you're an environmental artist all the way, and
Maybe that is an actual job. That'd
yeah.
be so cool. Oh, I would love to get paid to just make things in Unreal. Oh, that'd be amazing. But that's all
Mhm.
I've ever done. Like, I've never done anything else. I tried to make a game, which I could actually open sometime and show you, because it won't export, and I don't know why. So I've tried to just package it, just to be like, I did it, it's done. If there's, I can play it as a thing, but it doesn't work. So I kind of quit. Um, but yeah, I just like making pretty worlds. That's pretty much all I can do. And I think that I'm at the point now with mine that my computer says no. That's also a British meme. Computer says no. If anyone gets that out there, thought I'd.
I'll be honest. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't understand the meme or the
I'll send you
reference.
later. It's very funny. It's an old British meme. Computer says no.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Now you're good.
My phone works in memes half the time.
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I feel like that's just unfortunately a what's the word I'm looking for? Blanking for the word I want, but I feel like it's just we live in 2024. A lot of us probably thinking memes half the time.
Oh yeah.
But but yeah,
Yeah,
have you out of curiosity, have you tried to tackle anything in Blueprint ever since I've shown you?
yet. I was thinking, okay, let's finish the world and then we'll start figuring everything else out. But then, like I said, the computer and I were not having a good time. Because
Right.
I think I have like, okay, so my foliage tool, when I put the trees down, they look very ugly and they look like half the prettiness if I just put them as a mesh. So I probably have 2,000 meshes of trees, everywhere. And I probably need about 10,000 more to fill out the entire world. And also, I was getting really annoyed because I have a procedural, like, foliage thingy added to my landscape material, and it looks awful. And me and the grass have been getting in. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was yelling at my computer on Sunday because of the grass. Me and the grass are fighting. It was very frustrating because no matter what I did, it's the LODs. I think it's the LODs. I have no idea, but it looks horrible. And also when it does it, it just puts them all in little clumps. So then there's these giant bare bits, and I was like, but why? So me and the grass were having a lot of fights. That's where I'm at right now. So then I decided, in order to make the grass not piss me off, I need to just fill the world with trees. And then I did that, and it kept crashing. So I think that I've reached the peak of my computer, which is the whole point of me starting the project. Is like, how far can I push my brand new computer? Because I built a PC. It's my first PC, like a month ago. So I was like, okay, let's see how far she can go. And she's gone very far. She's gone farther than any other computer I've used Unreal on. So I'm pretty proud. But yeah.
I don't know if Hal has messed with like LODs and like open world environments and like trying to optimize that, but from my understanding, which is something maybe I can turn you on to, but honestly, if you just Googled it, you're probably going to get better information than me on this specific topic. But I believe what you need is a bunch of level instances that turn on and off, but I could be wrong because I haven't worked with open world stuff much. That are just like
It's
really,
only
really
the size of, like when you click create landscape, it's just the one that it says to do. However many it is, the default one. I didn't make it bigger than that. I was like, we'll just go with that. I don't want to make my computer pop.
right, but you can actually put your static meshes and stuff in a level instance, so they're not
I
being
do know
rendered.
about that. That's
Yeah,
probably a smart idea, actually.
because I think what another way to do it would be strategically placed meshes and hills, so that way you can be like, they're over here, we can turn all this off, kind of thing.
Maybe. But what was bad for the grass is like minus the clumping. Like because I have it like kind of Scottishy looking, the way the hills are, and when you're walking, you can see the hill, but the grass looks like it's filmed on like if imagine if it was like Super 8 level bad. Like that's the camera it was taken on, a Super 8. It looks horrible, and I cannot. And it looks so ugly. But because the grass is supposed to go over all the fields, because I wanted to have it like big and open, it looks atrocious, absolutely terrible. So the only other way to do it was me hand painting it all on, and then it looks good. That's a lot. And then I also can't get it looking right with me. It's not. We're not having a great time with the grass. So I'm gonna find the trees.
Have you do you know about nanite?
None of them are nanite, because that I think will make my computer go no.
It may actually do the opposite for you. So the thing with nanite is, it's a new technology that they have with Unreal Engine 5,
Yeah, I know. I know what
which
it is. I just thought that it required more power.
That's the whole point.
yeah, so it requires a tiny bit more power for like individual meshes, but the whole point of it is to have multiple meshes in a scene, and there's almost no performance issue, and you can have like thousands and thousands of meshes with nanite and lose almost no performance. So I would probably just try and turn nanite on.
They're
Like
mega
that's
scans, so I probably should have to re-download them as a nanite, right?
You don't even have to do that. You can literally just go into the mesh itself, or you can just like
On it.
highlight all of the mesh, and change them all to nanite. There's literally just like you right
Yep.
click and
Yep.
there's a nanite
Done it.
option there.
Okay, because I tried using nanite things on my work computer, and I have the same one, and it instantly was just overloaded. So I was like, okay, maybe no nanite this time. But my computer, like the graphics, I always keep the performance thingy open because I did
Mhm.
melt a motherboard once on my laptop, so I'm a little paranoid.
Yeah, they're supposed to
Um,
turn off before that happens, so
that
I don't know
didn't
what
happen.
went wrong there.
Yeah, well, it was a Mac, so
Oh,
fine. But the thing is, I have an i9 in my Mac, and now that I've built a PC and I've seen the size of the fans for an i7, how is that supposed to work? I don't understand that. So I'm like,
Yeah.
something that doesn't make any sense to my brain. Um, so yeah, I'll try that because I have a 4070, I think I have a 4070 Ti, so she's beefy. She's got the power.
Yeah. Yeah. You should definitely be able to handle nanite and
I just have an older
um.
processor. That's the only thing. The
well,
processor
Okay.
is a 10th Gen i7.
most of the new stuff's going to be actually tackling your graphics card, so you should be good. I think the only other issues you really need to worry about is how much memory are you rocking?
54.
Oh, yeah, you're 100% fine. Literally, Unreal should never slow down. I just want you to know, if
Oh,
Unreal slows down on your computer, it will destroy anyone else's. So that should be a huge red flag.
It's only that one weird distortion thing that I kept having with the
Which to
weird.
me still sounds like anti-aliasing, which I think I talked about during the
Yeah,
mentor thing. I think
yeah.
it's
That, but
just trying to
it
get
runs.
frames.
And then that error message I get that it says video memory exhausted. I'm like, there's 12 gigs of video memory. How?
Oh,
Yeah.
how
Don't
can
completely ignore that.
Yeah,
So it puts an internal limit for you,
that's
which
what
is like
I saw that you can.
800 megabytes,
Yeah, I saw
and
that somewhere you
you
can
can
go in
change
and,
it.
but I don't want to,
Yeah. It's literally only just for internal testing
which
that
makes
they
sense.
put that on there. It is kind of annoying though, because I feel like 800 is just such a small amount, and like
Yeah, it's so
almost
small.
everyone,
listen?
everyone
This
has
runs
more
on
than
my
that now.
Windows XP, okay?
Well, you have Windows XP. I'm jealous.
No, I don't
I
have
want
Windows
Windows
XP.
XP. See, that last time I used a PC was Windows XP, and I don't like the new Windows. I miss Windows XP. If I
Well, it
could like
was
just
so
have
much
Windows,
easier.
it was also like the little hill. Maybe I'll just change my background to the hill.
There you go. Yeah.
A little
Why don't you make
nostalgia.
that scene in Unreal Engine?
Okay.
That's
Hell yeah.
perfect. I love
What a
that.
fun idea. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my god. That would just be a funny YouTube video. Just make a
Yeah.
whole
True.
like a 10-minute game loop that's just Windows XP. Okay,
All
someone
right.
do that.
So
Someone else do that. Shouldn't be trusted with that. That's funny. That's a really good idea. I'd buy it.
I actually
I don't
have the
use that hill
Windows
in
XP background. So I have like a folder of like 50 different images, and one of them is the Windows XP background. So it pops up on my desktop every now and then. Um, but
cinema.
we are roughly an hour in, so I'd like to move on
Great.
to Normally, we would do the news. However, I am doing something where if the news isn't that interesting, or we just have some fun stuff we want to talk about, so Hal, that's also me telling you, if you ever have something you want to talk about, please let me know. We're just going to have this section be a little bit more fluid. So, oh, wait, hold on. We have an update.
The XP hill is real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
That I'm doing. Next time, guys, road trip. I'm doing that when I'm in San Francisco, which will be next in like 2 weeks. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
make someone
think
drive me to find the hill.
I think all of the images that they have used are real photos. They contract somebody to actually take those, which is really
Nice.
cool.
I need to see it with my eyes.
I think
Yeah.
the sky was
I will
fake. I think
update.
that's the only thing that's fake in it. I could
Looks
be
fake.
wrong, but anyway. So this
Anyway,
week,
sorry,
what we
watch
are
out.
going to... No, you're good. You're good. I wanted to know the amazing update. But this week, instead of news, I actually wanted to talk about something I'm actually going to make a full video on, but I still think it'd be fun for the podcast to have the discussion as well. I want to answer the question, how do you start doing game development? And then I also want to answer some of the questions that go along with the overall question of how do you start game development, because I think a lot of people genuinely want to know, like, where do I even begin? I think people want to know, like, do I need to go to college? Is that something I should be considering? um I don't think a lot of people know exactly what development is. I think a lot of people are like, oh, so you just like punch numbers and letters into a code and then that's it. Um, and then I want to end with, do you guys recommend it? And that'll be for Harley as well, because I mean, technically she is trying to learn. So yeah, but I'll give my quick take on how do you start game development. I'm going to go in more detail on my video, but my quick take is, I know this is confusing, but just start. Pick an engine that looks good to you, especially if it's one of the free ones, and just start. Open it up, realize that you don't know what any of it does, click on stuff, and if you can't get anything to do anything, which is normal, just look at a YouTube video and start there. Start with just, how does this software work? Like, what's going on with Unreal? What are these buttons? What should I even be clicking on? And just start learning the software. And that's honestly my recommendation. Just start. What do you think, Hal?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And that's what I did, and I hate that I waited so long, honestly. Because I kept looking at Unreal Engine. Although I think it was the release of Unreal Engine 5, I was like, okay, I should really check this out now. Especially now that it's totally free. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just, I mean, not just Unreal Engine, but so many engines now are just completely free to download and just try out. And personally, I was kind of blown away when I tried it out at how relatively user friendly it was and how easily I could pick it up and, create something within a few hours that looked pretty. I'm kind of like you, Harley. I just was instantly drawn to that. I think a lot of people are, just because it's, like it's a very visual thing, and you realize that you have access to things like mega scans, and you can just start putting things in the scene. And to me, I still feel like this, but I have always kind of thought, especially when I started, that it almost felt like I was playing like a super advanced version of The Sims, because you have your content drawer and you just have like all your little things that you can just drop in your level and build these little scenes. And so I think that's a really good place to start, is just try and just make something pretty, or just like, drag out some mega scans or some of the free Unreal Engine assets, which there's a ton of them, and just try and make something. And don't be afraid to watch videos out there. There's some great ones, for if you want just like visual stuff. I think the first one that I watched was Unreal Sensei.
Okay.
He's got like a 5 hour video of like building a castle world. And I think that was literally the first video I ever watched, was going through that 5 hour tutorial. And it taught me so much through that. um But then I would say also if you are more on the programming side of things and like you want to kind of explore that, then just do the same thing. Like just jump in, start playing around. If you've never used visual scripting, just play around in there and just literally just like drag out of things and just like look through the list of things of options that you have and figure out what you can do and just try and experiment with things.
Yeah. I'm the weird one here because I know you both are visual people. For me, it wasn't even making like things look pretty because I've never been that good at it. I'm getting better slowly. But for me, it was, oh my gosh, I just programmed that and it works. Like it's doing the thing. Like it's actively doing the thing. And that was always amazing to me. Like I could be like, oh, I just learned that if I have the character move into this field, I can then make something else happen. And that was the part for me that, I mean, I was hooked. I loved the idea that I could make something functional. I could give you an experience. I could be like, okay, you did this, and I was like the person that like masterminded it, for lack of a better word. And yeah, it was the programming side, and it's the same thing. Like Hal was saying, is I just want to add, don't be scared to screw things up. In fact, I encourage you to go mess everything up because a lot of people will get so bent up and paralyzed by the idea of doing it the incorrect way or that it's just not going to work that they just don't do it. And a lot of people probably don't even have the self-awareness to know that that's what's stopping them. I think it's just get in there, do a bunch of stuff, and even if it's your passion project, which by the way, never call something your passion project, that's a whole another can of worms, but get in there, even if it's something you've always wanted to make, screw it up. This doesn't have to be the version that makes it to the user's hands. This doesn't have to be that version. Even if you're so far and you feel like everything's going so well, trust me, no matter what you do, you can always go back if it's something you absolutely want to save. Mess it up, because when you mess things up, you're going to get in there and you're going to learn 100 times more than if you sit around and keep waiting until you do it the quote unquote correct way. Yeah, and is that what you did out of curiosity, Harley? Did you just download Unreal and go, you know what, let's go?
Well, there's a funny story behind why I started with Unreal.
Okay.
So I am really good at procrastinating. It's kind of one of my specialties. Really good at it. And usually when I know I have a deadline and I know I have to get something done and I haven't started it already, I get in this like weird thing. I always end up getting it done, but it's never fun. So I had an exam to do. Like this was during still like COVID uni time, so our exams were like a 24 hours. So you would open it and then you'd have 24 hours to write it from when you opened it, or like a few days. I'm not sure exactly how it was done. I don't remember. So my flatmate walks in. So I lived in Scotland at the time. And my flatmate walks in and she's like, I'm going to the library to do work. And I was like, have fun. I'm going to make a game. She's like, what? I was like, I woke up today and decided I want to learn how to play with Unreal Engine. So that's what I did. I made a whole game level that day. And I was just like, let's do it. I hyperfixated on that, not my history exam. And I was like, instead I'm going to make a medieval world. Why would I write about medieval worlds when I could just make one? That's literally what was going through my head. And then I failed an essay because I didn't want to do it. Because I was like, I'm going to just be a game artist. Like, forget this. But I had to write another essay, like, the same week about, like, how do I want to use my history degree? I was like, well, I'm going to make historically accurate video games. And I got a 40. So that's failing in Scotland. That's just barely failing. I failed the class, and I'm not mad at it. I was pretty happy with what I wrote. So that's basically how I got started. And then I melted my laptop and wasn't able to do it for about till like this last year. And then my best friend gave me her gaming laptop she doesn't use. So I've been playing with that. Very limited. It has a tiny graphics card and tiny processor. It's a very cheap laptop. But we'll be forever grateful. Thanks, Amanda, if you're watching. And then I just built my computer a couple weeks ago. So now I have all the power and I'm going to make some stuff.
It's
So
a really exciting feeling, isn't it?
But I'm really boring, though. I need to branch out and like, get ideas because I just want to make medieval shit. Like, that's all I want to do.
That's fine,
but, like,
though.
Really accurate. Like, in my little world that I showed you,
Mm-hmm.
I remade my street in Scotland. Like, I just remade my whole street. Clock tower and everything. And I was like, that's my street. That's really cool. It was so fun. Like, I just can't get enough of it. 10 out of 10 fun.
Yeah.
But I do want to make a game. but I just don't know what the game is. Like that's the thing. I don't play enough games. That's where I'm having the shortfall. It's because I'll make this really cool world that could totally be a whole game, which I've done more than I made an entire horror like looking game thing. I was like, but what's the game? Like what do I do now? I can't think of what the game is. So if you guys have any ideas, I'll send you because I know Brandon, you've seen it. I'll send you if you want to see what it looks like. I made a little video of me running around in it. What's the game? I've not a clue. So I'm like, well, now what? If the world's done, well, nearly done, minus the grass. Ah, the grass and I.
Well, you know what? I actually want to trampoline off of what you just said. I actually think, well, one, I think you should continue taste testing, because sometimes there's going to be things that you do and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't even think I would like this, and then you're doing that too. Always taste test. But I actually think the more you get into the engine whenever you're first starting, and the more you get in there and start breaking things and trying stuff, you do find your niche. And I think in this case, you're figuring out that, yes, I haven't tasted everything yet, but I really like building environments. And therefore, whenever you like look for a job, or you're like, hey, I want to help collaborate with this indie project, I make worlds, and then they give you the world that they want you to make, and you go. But yeah, I actually, okay, so on the itinerary, I'm actually going to move to the questions, because I think they'll link together better in the opposite order. Before asking if college is worth it and if we recommend it, I want to go to what actually is game development, because a lot of people don't know, a lot of people are interested, or a lot of people get into it, spend a whole bunch of time on it, and realize, whoa, this is not what I expected. And sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's for the worse. And I'll let Hal go first on this one. Like, do you have, maybe not, I don't know if Hal has a prepared answer or not.
No, I can talk about this, because I think this is a really good question, and a really good thing to understand, because I, for a very long time, I mean, I've been a gamer my whole life, but I never thought I would want to make games. And the reason I thought that is because I just assumed that game developers just like typed out code all day, like lines of code. I had no idea that there was a thing called blueprints, visual scripting. Um, I mean, I guess I knew that like people did, the graphic stuff, but I still assumed that they all had to like actually type out the code to like put the stuff in the level or something. I didn't realize that it was like I could just play Sims and just drag and drop stuff. Um, and so um yeah, that was a huge revelation for me when I realized that I could do something like this with having zero experience and knowledge on programming. I could create worlds. Um, so I mean, I don't know how detailed you want to be with this question. Like, I guess there's a lot of different answers that could be like, what is game development? But I guess maybe the answer is like it can be a lot of different things. You can be a programmer, you can be environments artist, you can be a 3D modeler, you can be a voice actor. There's so many different parts of game development that it's not just one thing.
Yeah, I think the best way I've been able to answer this question is, no matter what part you're doing, I think some parts more than others, but no matter what part you're doing, game development is problem solving. And let me explain why I say that. Well, you're starting game development. What's the problem? I don't know how to do it. Okay, you need to figure out how you're going to learn to start doing it. Okay, now you've got the basics. Okay, so you want to make a game. What are you trying to do? I need to make a door. Do you know how to make a door? No. Okay, well, you've created a problem. So now we have to solve the problem. We need a door. We don't know how to make it. We have a problem. And this happens on repeat. The entire process from start to finish is, I have a problem that I've created. That's the funniest part as a game developer. I have a problem that I've created, and now I need to solve it. And that's true for everything. If you're in 3D, I don't know how to do 3D models. All right, well, you have a problem. All right, I need to make a car, but I've never made a car before. Like, okay, you have a problem. Now, a lot of times, if you're in 3D, the answer is references. But regardless, you've got a problem. You need to solve it. Oh, this is way too many polygons. How do I reduce it? Again, you've got a problem. That's why I will say on repeat. Yeah, man. That's why I say on repeat. Game development is problem solving. If you're someone that likes to take something that doesn't have a clear answer, and that's another thing people need to understand. There's a billion ways to make a door, and they all do different things, and at least 90% of them are correct. The reason I say 10% aren't is because they're probably doing something that's like destroying your computer. Don't do that. But there's an infinite amount of ways to do everything. And a lot of them, unfortunately, the answer to the question of which is the right one, well, context. What do you need it for? Who's making it? How are you going to do it and remember it? So that's what I like to say when it comes to game development. It's nothing but a big create a problem, solve it, create a problem, solve it. As someone that's brand new, Harley, what would you say is game development if you were to put a nice little bow on it?
Having fun and building shit.
It is. I actually.
So I see it, but I've not made a game yet, so I've just made some cool worlds. So ask me again when I actually make something that's has actual gameplay. Right now, you just run around aimlessly. There's not really much to do.
It doesn't matter though. You've made this great environment. Like you're in the engine, you're pumping away. Don't gatekeep yourself.
I guess, yeah. Then I don't know. I think that it's just fun, freedom of creativity because you literally can create anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can dream.
Which is a problem.
How do you make it?
I have never felt more creative in my life than making a game. And not just like feeling more creative, but feeling creative in ways that I didn't really even know that I could be creative. And as someone who has been, in a creative industry for a very long time, that is an amazing thing to find that, you've done a creative work for a long time, and then you kind of feel like, at least for me, I kind of was feeling very burned out with photography, and I come to this new thing and like this is just a whole new thing, a whole new way of creating things, and that is just an incredibly exciting thing that I absolutely love.
Yeah. I've always been searching for ways to like create and express myself, which is why all the way even before 2011, like I actually started uploading my first videos on something called Google Video before they had gotten YouTube. And I would upload all my stuff on Google Video. Because I at the time for some reason thought it was going to be better than YouTube. I don't know. But I've always been looking for it, and yeah, game development lets you express yourself in amazing ways, but sometimes I think that's actually where a lot of the frustration comes from as well, though, is because you want to express yourself in a certain way, which, if you use my metaphor, you've created a problem and you don't know how to solve it. And it can be frustrating, especially if the solving it is like, oh my god, this is going to be a mountain to achieve this thing that I need to do.
Me and music, I feel that in my core.
Yeah. But I think that this question links so well into is college worth it is because one, I know both Harley, did you get your degree? Like, did you actually end up getting the degree?
I'm still a student, so
okay.
I transferred to school here in Boston, so I'm still studying history. But I genuinely routinely think, should I just switch universities? Because my school doesn't have, to my knowledge, a game dev program, but there's one not far that does, and I'm like, should I just say fuck it?
Hey, listen, I went to IUPUI, and I think all the professors are amazing. But anyway, I don't think, Hal, you don't have a degree, correct, or do you?
No, I went to started in college and was studying physics of all things.
Wow.
Wanted to be an astronomer when I was a kid. And I've always loved astronomy and space and all of that stuff. But didn't really know what I wanted to do, like told myself I wanted to be an astronomer when I was a kid, but I didn't really know what that involved. And when I got into college, I was like, that involves a lot of school, and also involves a lot of money that I don't have. So I went for 2 years and basically just couldn't afford to go any longer. And so I took some time off and worked in retail for a while. And that's when I started doing photography. I will say, though, that I think I actually owe a lot of kind of the directions that I took in life to college in one particular way, and that's because I took, you know how you have to take like just a standard art class.
Hmm.
I took, like the most basic art class there was, and that got me really interested in art. I mean, I was already interested in art before that, but I had never studied it in as much detail as we went into in this class. And particularly more like in the photography section, because I always liked art, but I never could draw and I never could paint. But when I started looking into photography and I started doing that, I was like, oh, I can actually do this. And so yeah, I often credit like that just random art class that I took to a lot of my shift in focus of doing kind of a creative work instead of going into astronomy of all things, or just any
Yeah.
other industry.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect. I actually love this question even more then, because we have in progress degree, we have degree, and then we have no degree. But as someone with a degree, my honest opinion on whether or not you should go to college is completely independent. It's down to the individual, because the biggest misconception, at least from the school I went to, everyone could have a different experience, but from the school I went to, you're not going to leave that school with a degree thinking like knowing how to make a game. That is not the point of the degree. The degree is to get your hands on a lot of the different things, taste test stuff, and then kind of try to specialize towards one of them. Especially because in the gaming industry, most places want to hire specialists for a specific task and not a generalist who knows how to do most things. So that's what the school's going to try to gear you towards, is they're going to say, okay, we want you to be, or not you, like you've decided you're going to do 3D. We're going to make you specialize in 3D. Oh, you're a programmer, go to computer science, be a computer scientist. But you don't have to do that. Like for me, for example, I went through and I did a bunch of taste testing and I came out a generalist, which ultimately it does hurt my chances to get jobs, but that's not really why I went to school to begin with. It was mostly so I could learn the skills to be able to make a game. But I would say the biggest thing I learned from college actually has nothing to do with game development, but life. High school, at least in the States, does not in any way, shape, or form teach its students how to critically think. At all. Not at all. You are given the answers, and then the test gets put in front of you, and then you put the answers on the test. That is how the school system works. When you go to college, it is like a shell shock. It's like, here's a hammer, I need a house by tomorrow. And you're like, what the? You didn't teach me how to make a house. All you did was teach me how to use a hammer. But that is a skill set you absolutely need in being able to have that held over you in a way that's like, I can't ignore this because like I'm going for a degree, so like I have to participate in this. Oh my gosh. I went from not being able to critically think very well, which I guess it depends, because it's also, you could say it was the age too. I was younger, but still, like, the life lessons I got from college were absolutely worth it in my case. I loved the lessons I learned about time management, about being able to take a problem that has no clear answer and be able to tackle it. Like, I don't even question it anymore. If someone was to come to me and say, hey, can you do this? I'd be like, yes, but do I have the mental energy and time? Otherwise, but yes, like if we need to do it, we can make it happen. Whereas a lot of people do not have that mindset. They'll be like, can you do this? And it'll just be yes or no. And for me, that was what made college worth it. It has nothing to do with the game development side. It was all very much, how do I approach problems? And you already know my metaphor about what game development is. It's problem solving. So that's kind of my take on whether or not you should go to college. But I will say this, as one last final note, if you want to specialize in something because you don't really care about every aspect and you just love 3D, college is going to help you get there. So if you really want to specialize, that's where I would go.
Yeah.
My degree. Noted.
I think everyone is different, and especially for me, my age, when I was in high school, there was very much this push that like everyone has to go to college, and I do not think that that is a good way to approach that, because there are
Nope.
definitely some people that just college is not for them, and that's totally fine. I would say if you can afford it, if you get a scholarship, I think it's definitely worth going and trying, even if you don't really know what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do and you can't afford it, then maybe take a couple of years off and just like, kind of do some soul searching. Like, you're so young at that age that nobody really knows what they want to do. I mean, with the exception of some people. If you are somebody that like, without a shadow of a doubt that you want to be a doctor, well, you got to go to school for that. And so you got to make that happen, however. But yeah, so I think it really just depends. I think what I would say is it's okay to not know what you want to do at that age.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. Your
even
brain's
at an
not done
older age
developing
too.
until like 25.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you've been
Um,
forced to go to school. Sorry to interrupt you, but you've been forced to go to school for 18 years of your life.
yeah.
You've barely been able to do anything. You can't even freaking drink. So to think that these kids can then go and choose what they're going to do for the rest of their life is
For the rest
absolute
of their lives, yeah.
nonsense. But
It's
anyway, Hal,
wild.
go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Don't do it. Just wait. It's so much
yeah.
better if you wait.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's so ironic that like at that age you are supposed to just magically know what you're going to do for the rest of your life and make these ridiculously hard decisions that you are not ready to make. So it is totally fine to just take some time off and just try things out. Um, and again, if you can afford it, and if you get a scholarship, or you family has saved up and can put you through it, then I think it's great to at least try it. And like, at least like Dark and I have said, like, I've gotten things out of college that I didn't even initially go to for it.
Yep.
And you do learn just so many great skills. It's also just a great place to meet people and network and just do that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like I started going to school for film. That was my first degree. Well, first major, I should say.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go to school again until I was 25. And then I was studying history and government.
I have a
Completely
very, very similar story. I will say that I didn't go and then change, but I actually was like, I'm probably not gonna go. Like, I don't know that that's for me. But very, very short story. I got a job where I live. Factories are everywhere. They're
Same in
freaking
New
everywhere.
Hampshire.
I'm surrounded by so many car manufacturers. I live right by an insulation manufacturer. I've got insulation in my lungs for days. It's well, I'm just making a joke, but honestly, if you leave a car outside for like a couple days, there will be a glitter
Oh no.
of shiny on it from the insulation. But anyway, huh?
Right? Isn't that the stuff that like it's got like it makes you itch?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, that
like
stuff.
fiberglass. Yeah.
So that's what I've been breathing for 31 years. But this is a long-winded way of saying I'm surrounded by factories. I got a job. I worked at one for one day. Immediately went home and told my parents I'm going to college.
See,
That
that's
is
what
a
I tell
true
people.
story.
That's what I say to all my like friends who have children. Like I have a few friends who children are like about to graduate high school, and I'm like, don't do it because you've not lived in the real world yet. You're not going to appreciate what like school could do for you. Like that's what changed it for me. Is I worked at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
That was a time, let me tell you. And even then, like, well, then I worked at McDonald's, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna be a musician. I'm actually gonna do it. And then I just moved to LA. It did work, um, but then like some crazy tragedies happened, and I was like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. But I had such a greater appreciation from it about of college or university. I feel like a crime saying college, but university that like in comparison to when I was there the first time, like when I was 18. my grades were so much better. I was able to get into an insanely good school after doing a year of community college and like do a lot of really cool things that I would never have been able to do at 18. Like it would have never worked the same because I was older, had more wisdom, was more mature, and I just appreciated it more. Like I actually loved doing it. It was not like this chore because it did feel like a chore. Because like what you were saying as well, how that about like schools being so like you need to go to college, you need to go to college. Like
Yep.
in 8th grade, because New Hampshire is like known to have very very like good public schools. Like they're very crazy, and a lot of their statistics are based on how many students go to college. They are very much drilling that in your mind from 8th grade. 8th grade, we have our first assembly at the high school. We do our schedules, and they're talking about college
Yeah.
every single semester. You have a thing talking about college. Like you have to like they encourage you to pick your colleges by like sophomore and junior year. Like they're
Yeah.
crazy. Like it's just
Yeah.
so
That's how
so
mine
I
was.
yeah, and like you have and I don't like I know a lot of people who went to school. Very few people who didn't go to school at all. Most everyone I know went to school. A lot of them are never finished. A lot of them did a year or
Yep.
two and then they never went back. And it's like and a lot of my friends that did go immediately and then took time off and then went back. All of them wish they didn't. All of like I know so many people who like went for 2 years, wasted a ton of money to then have to go completely change their major to something completely inapplicable that is a 180. Like I went from film to history. Like they
Yep.
couldn't be more opposite. Absolutely could not be more opposite. And so I mean, for me, example, like my paying for school has been a challenge because I went to a very very expensive private school my first time, and so much money was used. So then like paying for school down the road was really hard. Like there's so many little things that I wish I wouldn't have done.
Yeah,
That's the
like
main one.
I,
Main
I
regret.
wouldn't be nearly as far in debt as I am if
Oh,
I
exactly.
knew like what I wanted major wise before I went. But
Mhm.
I went, and I won't retell this whole story because on the pilot we talked about all this, but I went for computer science, and I went for a number of reasons. One, I was like, oh, the real world, and everyone says I have to have a job, and computer science will give me a job. I can't go for game development. But after I got there and I started doing it and I understood what it was, I was like, what am I doing? And
Mhm.
I spent 2 or 3 years doing computer science before I switched. So that's 2 or 3 years of loans that I had to
Yep.
pull, and
Uh,
I'm not even using that. Like,
mhm. Me
so
and my.
to kind of summarize everything we've said, if you don't know, then that's the reality. So don't
Oh
go.
no, don't go. That's like
Wait
okay.
Oh no, don't
until
go.
exactly. Wait until you have a solid decision in your mind, and don't feel like it has to be the perfect decision. I think a lot of people go for general studies. I think it's a little strange, but some people do, and they love it, and they're like, "I'm so happy I did that." So it doesn't have to be the perfect answer. Um, so all in all, or college for game development, that's up to you. Um, And to wrap up the podcast, we are going to do a couple of questions here, but I decided because we're a little low on time, we're going to summarize all of these questions into one open ended question, and I'll pass it to Harley. If you, and I know you're not a marketing person, you are a market research person, but you do have more, I would say, more general knowledge than we do. If you were to say to any random indie game developer who needs to start marketing their game, what are some actionable things they can do to actually start getting any type of traction?
So I would say there's going to be two sides to this answer. If you have a budget, there's a side. If you don't, then there'll be a side. If you have a budget, which I would highly recommend, if you can have a budget for market research specifically, find one because it is so powerful. Like I actually went and found our pitch deck to really do a better job explaining the different aspects. There's so many different things that you could do with because at the end of the day, the market research side of it is taking your potential players and your potential. So say that your game is a shooter, and it's similar to Overwatch, whatever other hero shooters there are. It's that kind of vibe. As the market research people, we would find people who play those games that are similar to your game, that should like your game. So then they come and play your game. So they already should like it because it's similar. Like you, the game dev, would tell us this game is similar to X, Y, or Z. And then we would find people who play those games, and then we would do an in-person playtest, or sometimes it can be remote. There's a lot of remote playtesting that happens. And then from that, all of the data you'd get, because you say that, like, I'll give an example. There was a game we did once, where the game devs had an idea that it was going to be marketed to X type of people, but it didn't go well. Like, they didn't like the game, and their entire approach to it was this side of this genre of games. And then we suggested, why don't you try it with just general shooter fans and just a bunch of different shooter. It went really well. People loved the game, so they didn't even know their own market because they hadn't seen what the players were going to say. So that's like a really good example of how these kinds of things can really impact how you're going to market the game, because then you're getting a better idea of who your audience is going to be. So by looking at all of these different things, and that's just one area. I mean, that's just looking at like potential like just literal audiences. I mean, there's so many, like you can go into it and look at like Fatui testing, like what is that first time user experience like? Does it work? Does it not work? Different asset testing. So like when you're actually doing adverts, like advertisements, like doing a focus group, watching the ad, look at different concept art that you maybe will share to show off the game, things like that. Do players like it? Do people like it? Is it got a positive or negative reception? Does it actually represent what the game's going to be? So many different things. There are so many focus groups that we've done that have that, just simply that. It's a 2 hour long focus group, literally just talking about concept art, and that's the same to be. So,
not to interrupt you, I'm just curious. So, and that's what you do and like where you work, correct?
Yeah.
So are there like what company, like if they had a budget and they wanted to do something like that, what, like where do you work, for example, if you're even allowed to say?
Called trying to decide if I yeah, it's called VGM, so it's video game market.
Okay.
Um, so it's and then like even say that like a small time like developer didn't have the budget to do a full on
Hmm.
playtest or a full on focus group. There's surveys. Like it's possible to code an entire survey using the art. It's if it's not like a huge game, there's usually less fear of it getting leaked and things like that, because that's often like we wouldn't do, or you wouldn't do as a person. I wouldn't say us necessarily, but I don't think I've seen quite often it not be advisable when there's like a really big AAA game coming out and they don't want to just do a survey. It's not as controlled. So there's always that possibility of the concept art getting leaked, pieces of the game getting leaked, like things
As
like
an
that.
indie game dev, if my game got leaked, then someone's doing my job for me. So,
Yeah, with that, it would probably be easier. And I know survey fielding is much less expensive, but then you're basically coding an entire survey to do all of the quant and qual data, and you're showing them the things, having them rate the different art 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, and then from there you're getting all of that data on a much cheaper scale. I know like we do have some clients that have more limited budgets, and that's often what they'll opt for, or just really small focus groups, really small play tests. Like the scale, I know that a lot of the cost is more heavily associated to the number of respondents. Like we've had some play tests for a very big AAA game where it's in multiple countries and there's 20 people per country doing it simultaneously, and then multiple cities in the US there's like 100 plus people doing this game thing for an extended number of days. So obviously with a test like that, there's a lot more cost associated with it.
so out of curiosity, then, like, let's say someone's interested. Let's say I've got my budget. I know where I'm gonna go. What was the name again? I'm sorry.
VGM.
What was it?
We
Sorry.
just Googled VGM, video
VGM.
VGM. Yeah, if you Google
Okay.
VGM, it should just come up. Let me
So
double check.
how does pricing work with that? So like if you were like, all right, I have a
I
budget, I'm gonna go to
don't
VGM.
know. I
Okay,
have
yeah,
no idea.
which is fair. You're
But
not
I
in the
don't think.
marketing or that
Yeah,
that.
I don't do that. I'm a project manager, so
Do you
that's
know
not what I
if okay? Do you know if it's like you go it like with them with a number, or do you
do.
say
But
like I want these
I'm trying to think of
packages
like
or
yeah, like a lot of it, like it's very, and all of our pricing is all inclusive as well. I do know that. So you get pretty much everything, but you can always like knock certain things off. Like we'll write. So if we did a focus group, we write the DG, we provide moderation, we provide all of the analysis, everything. We do the recordings, we host it, we recruit the people, we vet the people, everything like that. But I have seen like different situations where smaller people have like less budget and we're able to kind of work with it. I don't know to what extent. I don't know, but I would say like as from my own very limited. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. I am not. I can't be quoted on this. Because I don't do any of the pricing. I don't do any of the sales. But I have seen like, on my opinion, from what I've noticed, is that surveys are the cheapest. I couldn't give you a number. I don't know. It depends on the sample size. If you wanted to do a small survey, but also with it's like statistics. This is the type of data you're really looking at with quant data. Well, it's a type of statistics, I think. But the smaller the sample, the less accurate the results will be. The bigger the sample, the more accurate the results will be. Um, but I think like I don't know how to give you an answer on that one. But if you were to reach out and just talk about the project, talk about what your plans are, like everyone, like the sales team, which is one of my coworkers, he's great. Very, very easily would be able to work with a budget most likely and recommend things based on your budget. Like they're not, I don't imagine them being like, well, sorry, we can't help you. I feel like
Right.
it'd be like, this is what's possible within that budget, and they'll try and help you make it happen because everyone, at the end of the day, everyone in my company, from the top to the bottom, are massive gamers. Like one of the president of my company, he's awesome, but he's always got his. He doesn't have a Switch deck. He has another one, but he's always on. He's always playing a game. He'll be like in a meeting, like he'll be talking, serious game, talking, serious game. I love it. It's so awesome. So everyone's like really into games, and if they really love the project, I'm sure like they'll get really excited about it as well.
Okay.
Um,
No, that's
there's a lot
awesome.
there. But my recommendation would be that way, if you have the budget, find out what your audience is. Find out whatever it is, because you could release a game and people hate your UI. Like there's within us, like I mean, if you really, it's hard to cover. If it's just a survey and you look at your own data and all of that, you could probably fit quite. I don't know. Like I don't want to get. If anyone from my company sees this, I don't know what I'm talking about. Um, but like I don't know, like it's one of those things that they would be much better equipped to say like what would work and what wouldn't. Like if you had one area that you're not sure about, but you could also probably in a lot of ways with a lot of your friends have them do it, like have them like see what you're most curious about or what you think could be the most beneficial to actually do like a proper like qual and quant analysis on, and then go for it that way. But that's if you have a budget. If you don't have a budget, if it were me releasing my game, like what I would do is I would try my hardest to find streamers, influencers, literally anyone that will make content in exchange to have a cool game, because a lot of people that like games, they're not gonna like, I mean, people maybe ask for money. That's not uncommon. But at the end of the day, I doubt it's much. You can also find smaller creators, smaller content creators, and when people see people playing it, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what's that?" And if it's a good enough game, it should like it. And if you're finding, excuse me, I keep burping. Rude. But if you have like, if you have one specific type of game in this one specific type of content creator who all of their followers will be people that might like it, when they watch them play it, they're gonna like. That's how I found Civ. Is I was watching an ASMR video, and one of my friends that makes ASMR videos was playing Civ, and I was like, "What is this? I want to try." Downloaded it. It was terrible. Had no idea what I was doing. It took me about 300 hours to win my first game, and then I read the entire Wikipedia, and then I was like, "Okay, I figured it out."
Yeah,
I was
dude, I know that feels so
so
hard.
dedicated.
No, I
But
like
like
that.
that's like probably in my opinion, especially nowadays when you have so much content out there and so many creators, so many people are looking to creators for the next thing. That would be step one, because I would guarantee you're gonna get a lot that'll say no. You're gonna get a lot that'll charge you money, but you're gonna find a lot that will be like, hell yeah, give me a new game. Give it to me. I am there. Then you as the devs make your own content. Like do your own playthroughs. Adapt it to TikTok videos. But like when it's your game, you have the time, you have the like you're not spending any money on that. It's gonna take a heck of a lot of effort, and it's gonna be really frustrating because it probably won't work out as well as you want it to. But then that one video might. If you just spam TikTok, especially TikTok works very well with spam. Lots of cool moments, lots of like interesting little things. Just film yourself playing it like for an ungodly number of hours, and just make a bunch of edits of little things. Eventually, people are gonna be like, "What is this? I've never seen this before. I want to do it." Those are probably the easiest and cheapest. And then you could reach out to small game blogs, reach out to writers that are like from smaller sites, smaller publications, people who do freelance for bigger publications. There's so many, like reach out to university newspapers. Like my best friend writes for a university newspaper doing game specific stuff. Like reach out to those people, reach out to students who do marketing. Maybe even you may be able to find a marketing student that would be like that likes games and be like, heck yeah, sign me up. Like
It
these little
sounds
things, like,
like it sounds like the biggest thing. Not to interrupt, I apologize, but it
oh,
sounds
go
like the
ahead.
biggest thing is check notes for what it's called. The awareness stage. It's all about
Yes,
that awareness stage.
awareness.
I
Yeah,
will say though that
100%.
you've mentioned a few things that really caught my eye. I guess not really at my ear because you're speaking. One was content creators. I think that's a great idea. Find small content creators that aren't going to demand money, or if you're lucky, big content creators. The affiliate part of the marketing sounds like it would be amazing for indie game devs.
Yeah, because it's so much saturates the entire internet. Like,
Yeah.
it really does. I'd be curious to know how Helldivers 2 blew up so much, because they didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be a fun case study.
that's kind of a
Well,
fascinating one. Yeah, I would
it's
love to
kind
see
of
a
like
study on that.
Undertale.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone I know wasn't playing it. Now everyone I know is playing it, and I'm like, do I need to get this game? Like, I don't even play shooters. There I am. Like, do I need to get it?
I think it's a bit ironic that game, like, it had so many issues with the servers that I think that actually gave it like a really big boost.
Also true. Also, yeah, because that's what everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone I know was complaining about it at one point. So there's some publicity.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's that awareness phase, and I think we all get a little, at least I do when I'm thinking about marketing, we get a little caught up in the social media aspect of it, but it seems like that is such a small chunk whenever there's so much more you could be doing. I will say I've never even thought about getting an interview or like talking to like an article writer.
But the thing is, like if you...
that sounds amazing. But yeah, I never even thought about like contacting people that could do interviews and things like that. These are all amazing. See, these are actionable things that I like. And I think that it makes me happy to hear them, because every time I have this conversation about marketing, you get the same advice and it's not actionable. Know your audience and like market to them. Like, great, cool. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. And I think too, though, like, luckily for for me, I think this is easier to think about, because for me, when it comes to music, which is also funny, because for me, I don't actually make games. I'm not making a game. Like, I'm just playing around. So for me, it's probably easier to think of ideas for, like, the general thing. But, like, if I were to try and think of ideas of how to market my own music that I wrote and created, I literally can't. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What's my music? Do I make music? Like, is it real? So I think that's, like, an interesting thing as well. Like, I would also say, like, look for other people to play your game and be like, what do I do? Like, what are your ideas? Because they're not a part of it. They're, like, external from it. Are not the ones that are like deep in the trenches with it, so it'll probably be easier for someone else to be like this, and this, or just give me a call. I got you. I'll give you all the random ideas.
Yeah. Everyone that's listening right now, just make sure to give Harley a call. Can you go ahead and give us your phone number? No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you so much for coming on today, Harley. This was a fantastic discussion on both marketing and just game development in general. So where can people find you? I know you've mentioned your music a few times. Like, where can people find you? Where they can listen to your music? What's going on?
All the places. It's just my name. I'm very creative, guys.
Yeah, so that's Harley Huke.
Huke, like puke with an H.
Huke, Huke. Yep, that is Harley Huke. Okay, cool. Again, thank you for coming on. That you have information that is gold for the indie game industry. We lack professionals of marketing, so. That's awesome.
And also, if anyone watching wants to sign up to playtest games, you can do it at our website. You can get paid to play games, so I recommend doing it. If you're in the San Francisco or New York City area, you can do them in person. And those are the bigger games. Smaller games on, like, remote.
Right.
But
okay.
Not always. That's not true always. There are bigger games non-remote as well. I mean, on remote as well. Ugh, my brain.
And Hal, of course, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people find you?
Just Google my name. It's there.
Yeah. Just Google Hal. You'll find him specifically.
Actually, I think if you Google Hal451, most of my stuff does come up. But regardless, howboutstudios.com, that's the game dev studio, and then of course indieallies.com is our Discord, where we are building just a wonderful group of developers that just keeps growing
every day.
Yeah,
and I'm blown away.
2 or 3 in there every day, which is awesome.
Every day. Sorry to interrupt you. I was just agreeing, because I was like, dude, it's insane how many people are joining in. Yeah.
Hal, I don't know if you know this, but your username is also a flight that goes from Honolulu to Sydney every day.
Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, HAL.
Hawaiian Airlines.
Wow.
I would actually love to take that flight sometime, because I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Guys, do you think mine is? DarkslayerTV, do you think mine's like a flight? I wonder.
Is there like a DRK or something?
Well, I go by DSTV, so maybe.
What's the number?
Just DSTV. I don't have a number.
Oh, you have to have a number. Your daylight savings time.
Okay.
Your
You know
daylight
what? I'm
savings time.
daylight savings time. Perfect. You can find me on daylight savings time pretty much anywhere on the internet. No, of course, Darkslayer TV.
That's so funny. That's
Um,
good.
but yeah, no, this was a great episode. Thanks again, everybody. And if you're listening on the podcast, we will see you next time. Peace.
Bye, everyone.